Hi everyone, welcome to Bad Weather Barbecue. I'm Johnny and today we're looking at 3 different dishes you can make with one of these. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is a channel where we talk all things barbecue. Today, however, we are continuing the autumnal theme that we started on Monday's video when we looked at the meatless stuffed squash that I did. If you're anything like me at this time of year, you'll be out buying pumpkins and carving them up with the kids. And this year, it's absolutely no different. In recent years, however, my wife and I have taken to buying additional pumpkins when we get them for the children, in order for us to actually make some food with them ourselves. What we found is, through utilising all parts of the pumpkin, you can make some really delicious food for your family. So with that in mind, today we're going to be having a look at 3 different dishes you can cook with your pumpkin. So number 1, we're going to be looking at a pumpkin pie. Number 2, we're going to be looking at a spiced pumpkin soup. And number 3, and whilst it's not technically a dish, they are great beer snacks, and I'm a massive fan of salted and roasted pumpkin seeds. One thing that I did want to just quickly point out is that, continuing with the theme from earlier in the week, all the recipes that we're going to be looking at today are indeed classed as vegetarian. There are dairy products in there, but having checked out some websites, it's all good for vegetarians. So that's what we're going to be going on today as well. As ever, please make sure you stick around to the end of the video for my 3 top tips for making all of these cooks a success. However, before we get into the cooking today, we do of course need to carve up our pumpkin. And this is really simple to do, and I really don't need to go through this. However, I will put some video up on the screen so you can see me doing this one that I have with me. Very, very simple, same process that you would do if you were doing it for the kids. Get the top off, get the innards out, and then all we're going to do is carve it up and get it ready for roasting. So let's have a little look at that now. Okay, so we've carved our pumpkin up now. We're in the kitchen and we're going to have a little look at what we do next, which is really, really straightforward. So let's have a look now. Right, so here are our pumpkin wedges, and all I've done on these 2 is just hit them with a little bit of olive oil, just to kind of protect them as we roast them. Good. Now what we're going to do with these, again, just to help the roasting process, is just cut them in half, like so. Good. Now they are ready to go in the oven. And just as a side note, this is the rest of our pumpkin seeds and the rest of the innards of the pumpkin. Don't throw that out just now. We're going to sort all this out and just make sure the seeds are ready for roasting shortly. But for the time being, let's get our pumpkin wedges into the oven. So whilst our pumpkin wedges are roasting in the oven, what we're going to do now is we're going to get on with the pumpkin seeds. So all we're going to do is, as we can see here in the tin, some are loose, but some are still attached to the inner parts of the pumpkin. So what we're going to do is just get all of that out so that we've only got the seeds left in there. Okay, so that's me now separated all of the last of the innards from the pumpkin from the seeds. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to give these a wash, and then I'm going to get them back in this tray, and I'm going to actually put them in the oven just for a minute or two, just to kind of dry off. Then what we're going to do is we'll add in our salt and our oil. Okay, so that's a couple of minutes, and that is our seeds done. So all we're going to do is we're just going to just a little bit of veggie oil over the top of them, and then just a wee pinch of just regular salt, and then just a few Maldons over the top. And that will be sufficient. So these are going to go in now for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and we'll check on them. It would need more time. The previous batch that I'd done to this, I'd actually done 2 loads of pumpkin seeds together, so that needed a little bit longer. So just adjust your timings depending on how many seeds you've got, and we're looking at a sort of oven temperature of around 180 to 200. All right, so that's been about 20 minutes, 25 minutes now, and as you can see, our seeds have roasted and they're a lovely sort of golden brown color, and they've puffed up brilliantly. So that combination of the texture, the taste from the salt, is absolutely fantastic. So as I said earlier in the video, great beer snacks. So get them in a container, let's say sort of an airproof container, and they're ready for when you need them. Right, so now that we've done our seeds, let's get back to seeing how things are getting on in terms of roasting. So what I've done is I've just pulled out 4 of them here. What we're looking for, so it's been about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. And all we're doing is just taking a fork and just testing for tenderness. And as you can see, the fork is going through really easily. So I would call these done. So all we need to do now is we're going to get them off this plate and onto a board and just let them cool down before we start taking the flesh actually off the skin. So we'll give them about 10 minutes to cool down, and then we'll come back to it. So it's been about 10 minutes now. I've had the pumpkin on a board, so they're cooled down. They're still warm, but as long as you can pick them up and hold them without burning yourself, then that's all you're really looking for. So all I'm going to do now is just take a spoon, and I'm just going to scrape off the flesh from the skin. So here we have it. Here's our stripped pumpkin, and I've actually managed to get 2 bowls out of the flesh there. So that'll be more than sufficient to make our pumpkin pie and our spiced pumpkin soup. So what we're going to do now is we've got all of the ingredients together for the pumpkin pie. So we're going to move on and make that. So here we have all of our ingredients now ready for our pumpkin pie, and it's really, really straightforward. So we'll just walk through them quickly. We've got our pastry casing. Now again, you can make your own pastry. Any form of sweet short crust pastry is fine. I got that out of the supermarket for £1. It just saves so much time, and it's actually really, really good. So I'm going to use that today. We've then got a teaspoon of salt. We've got 1/4 teaspoons of sweet cinnamon, cloves and ginger, a tablespoon of plain flour, 1 egg, 220 grams of caster sugar, 235 mils of evaporated milk, and 425 grams of our pumpkin. And that's all you need. And the best thing about this one is you just get 1 bowl and you just put everything in together and mix it up. So that's what we're going to do now. So that's our pie mix now fully mixed up in the bowl, and it's time to add it to our casing. So really simple. I'm just grabbing a ladle and I'm just going to add it accordingly until you've got enough. Just to near the top. Obviously you don't want to go over the top of it. Probably about 3 ladles there. Now, as you can see, you're gonna have extra. So it's up to you, depending on how many people you're having. If you're having people over or how big the family is, you could easily get 2 of these type of pies out of this mix. If you don't have to use it all in a oneer, then put it in a jar and put it in the fridge and it will keep for a couple of days. But as for this one, what we're going to do now is we've got our oven preheated up to 180 degrees centigrade, and we're going to pop it in there for about 20-25 minutes. So that's been about 40 minutes now, and that is our pie done. What I've got is I've got it on a rack now out of the oven, and we're just going to let that cool down. I have tested it in terms of the center of it. The trick there is just to pop a knife in, and if the knife pulls out clean, then that's your pie good to go. So that was the case with this one. So just going to let this cool down. I will pop a picture up on the screen just now so you can see it. This was actually one that we'd done previously, but again, exactly the same recipe there. So this is how it will look. I've eaten this a number of times now, and I can absolutely attest the fact that it's an amazing pie too. Absolutely recommended for anyone who wants to give this a shot. The last part of our trilogy of cooking today is, of course, our spiced pumpkin soup. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, we made a big batch of this about a week ago now, which we've frozen and I've defrosted, and I've currently got a portion warming in the pot behind me. So we're going to have a little look at that now. In terms of the rest of the pumpkin that I've got from today, I could make it into more soup, but given what we've got to defrost, I'm not going to do that. So what I'm actually going to do is just bag up the pumpkin that we've got, and I'm going to freeze it, and it'll be good in the freezer for a good few weeks. So if we want to make another pie or indeed more soup, then of course we can just pull that out, defrost it thoroughly and use it. In terms of the ingredients that you'll need for the pumpkin soup, I'm going to put them on the screen just now. So what you can do here is feel free to pause the video, write them down or take a photo of them and then use them later on when you're making this yourself. In terms of the method that you need to make this soup, couldn't be simpler. Simply take your onion, your garlic and soften those through. Add in your spices in your pumpkin after about sort of 4 or 5 minutes and just give them another sort of 3 minutes just for the flavors to combine. At that point, add in your stock and just bring it up to the boil, and then turn your heat down and simmer it for about 20 minutes. After the 20 minutes are done, if you've got a hand blender, just get your hand blender and blitz it through and that'll get it nice and smooth. And that is it. And then you can do what I'm about to show you next, which is add some cream and a little secret ingredient just to really tie it all together. And here is our finished soup. So all I've done is just taken some fresh single cream around the middle part of the soup, and I've actually added some of our pumpkin seeds in as well. This just helps because they're covered in salt, it just helps with the seasoning on it, just to add that little bit more seasoning to it. So I am, however, going to have a taste of this. So let me just get a spoon and we'll have a go. Right, so here goes. It's great in terms of having so many different flavors in here. The chili comes through. It's probably the coriander that hits you first. The chili's sort of towards the back. And then actually what I really like are those toasted or roasted pumpkin seeds on the top. Whilst they add visually a little bit more depth of color, see that the sort of toasted flavor with the actual soup as well is absolutely fantastic. So that's definitely something I'd recommend you try. So there you have it, 3 different cooks to do with a whole pumpkin. Earlier in the video, I said to stick around for my 3 top tips for making these cooks a success. So here we go. Number 1, before you put your pumpkin seeds into the oven to roast, just give them a wee wash to get all the sediment of the rest of the pumpkin off them, and then put them in your tray and just warm them through in the oven. This will just help to get all the water off it. Then put your oil on and then salt them accordingly. And this will just help them really crisp up very, very nicely. Number 2, in terms of the pumpkin pie, of course you can make your own pastry. As you saw today, I just used a pastry case that I bought from the shops. These are great and it really cuts down on the amount of time that you need to spend in the kitchen. And number 3, in terms of the pumpkin soup, just give it that little bit of a drizzle of single cream before you serve up, and sprinkle some pumpkin seeds, as I did, over the top of it. What this does is it really kind of chefs up your bowl of soup, but additionally the salt from the pumpkin seeds add just that little bit of extra seasoning on the top. So there you have it, 3 different things to do with your pumpkin. Let me tell you, all of them are delicious, so I would highly recommend you giving them a shot. And what's really pleasing about this cook is that you actually use pretty much all of the pumpkin. It's only that outer part that actually goes into the bin. So you're utilizing pretty much everything that you buy, which is fantastic. So if you like that video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed, it would be great if you would consider doing so. As ever, please leave me a comment in the section below, and please feel free to share this video with your family and friends, as this really helps continue the growth of the channel. So thanks everyone for watching, you look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.